guys? It is 6:55 in the morning on March 23rd, and I am making another trip out to Montauk. Now, this time's going to be a little bit different. This time I'm going to be going on a weekend schedule since the revised schedule is in effect only for another week, but this time there's going to be more things to see when I'm out there. So, I'm going to get ready, and then we're going to hit the road. About an hour later, I made my way out to Babylon, and just in time, because here came the first train of my day, Deadhead 5796 to Babylon. Now, because the original run that this equipment is supposed to come from, which was 8733, doesn't exist on this new schedule because it was replaced by the dual-mode direct train to Penn Station, which was 8759, they have to deadhead the equipment out from Jamaica Storage Yard, which is why we see this train here. Now, while the equipment for 8730 was resting in Babylon, I noticed that there was another train coming in behind him. And lo and behold, it was a new set of the M9s, which I actually hadn't seen for a while since I don't live on one of the electrified branches. So seeing a set of these is actually a nice change of pace. Eventually, it was time for train 8730 to Speonk to get moving. And at around the same time, the M9s were going into the yard where they would sit and wait for the next train. And right behind our first train of the day is another deadhead to Babylon. This one is 5798, which turns for 8732. Now, this train would usually originate from Jamaica, but again, because of the new schedule, it comes to Babylon instead. But instead of waiting on the station here, it has to go into the yard because our train, 8704 to Montauk, needs to arrive on this track. I was not expecting that. After an extremely short pause, the set headed into the yard. And finally, here comes our train, 8704 to Montauk. Now again, the reason I'm at Babylon is because this train doesn't stop at my local station. After we made a local stop at Bayshore, the train picked up speed and passed the next 3 stations, the last of which being my hometown, Oakdale. I decided to hold off on recording until we got to Speonk, because here's where all the fun stuff hides during the middle of the day. As the yard tracks diverge off to the left, we can see in the very distance that there's a passenger set sitting on one of the yard tracks. And if you look a little bit to the left of that, you can see a PTC move that I had caught in a previous video. And coming up from the right are a couple of passenger sets that have been sitting in the yard for a while, one of which being the 5796 and 8730 that we saw earlier, with the 30AC 400. I decided to turn my camera on again in Bridgehampton because of something that I don't think I covered too well last time. For those of you New York and Atlantic buffs, this is the old siding that the New York and Atlantic train RS-30 used to come to out here in Bridgehampton, where it would deliver gas tankers. But unfortunately, the customer out here decided to stop using the train, and New York and Atlantic service out here stopped ever since the late 2000s. As we make our final dash on the home stretch to Montauk, the sun came out, and the clouds decided to go away. It's a lot better weather than it was last time I was here, that's for sure. Now, before you ask if the train is leaving with its headlights on in the back, it's not. It's actually making a reverse move into the yard since you can't necessarily get to it from the track that it was currently on. It goes all the way out to this end switch down here, and the conductor walks out and throws it, so that way the train can go forward into the yard until it's needed again. The train comes to a stop again because the conductor has to throw another switch. Now, since there's 3 eastbound runs in the morning and 3 westbound runs in the evening, this train won't be needed until the very last run, which leaves it around 7 o'clock from here. So the next train that we're going to see is 8706, which will be a dual mode set for some reason. The Long Island Railroad likes to run at least one dual mode set out here per weekend schedule because ridership or something, I don't know. Since these dual mode sets are usually 8 cars, it takes the train 2 stops to really get everyone off the train, since they don't want to leave anyone hanging on these last 3 cars. The other reason they're doing this is because they want the rear engine to be on the platform, so when they use it as the lead engine for train 8709, the first westbound run out of Montauk, they could just get onto the engine from the platform instead of having to walk out into the yard for no reason. DC-508 here is actually somewhat significant since it disappeared for about 3 years and then finally came back into service last year. I made a video on that as well.
Okay, so after a 3-hour stint on waiting for Uber Eats to pick up my food, which they never did, and I got it at a reduced rate, I'm taking train 8709 home, which is going to be the long boy over here. So this will be my train home. This came in on 8706, not the train that I took here, but it works. While we are still here, I do want to admire the scenery that is, you know, the yard, I guess. You know, there would be a lot to look at, except... And if I go any further from here, then I'm just gonna go onto the track and I'll get yelled at, so I'd rather not run into the MTA police again. So I decided for the return trip back, I'd do something that I haven't done in a very long time. Sit in the bottom level of one of these things. I've always used to sit in the top. I don't know why. It's just instinct, I guess. Maybe I just wanted to be above everything. Who cares? But I'm just glad to go home because I'm actually kind of getting tired of sitting around doing nothing. I mean, I got the shots that I wanted, so that was really my main goal of coming out here, was one, to see the trains back into the yard, which 2 of them didn't even do. Well, only 1 of them did. But either way, I'm actually really satisfied with how today went, because 1, it was sunny, and 2, there was more than 1 train here. You saw my last video. Yeah. But anyway, train should be going in about like 10 minutes or so. And yeah. Okay, so this is something I wasn't expecting them to do. They've turned on the ASI.
We're back in Speonk, and we're waiting on a direct train from Penn Station to pull into the yard, train 8736, which is the eastbound counterpart of train 8759, which I mentioned earlier at Babylon. Before the modified weekend schedule came into effect during the weekdays, there was no planned direct service to Penn Station from either the Montauk, Port Jefferson, and Oyster Bay branches. So in the case of the Montauk branch, the railroad had to do a little bit of improvisation. The first morning run to Penn Station would be 8757 from Speonk to Penn Station, which would run in early hours in the morning, and the next train would be 8759, which replaced the time slot for train 8733, which I mentioned earlier. The only eastbound direct train from Penn Station that would go out towards my branch is 8736, which you can see here pulling into the yard at Speonk. As 8736 finally comes to a stop, our train starts moving again, as it still needs to make its station stop here at Speonk. I decided on a whim to hop off the train here at Speonk and let 8709 continue its trip towards Jamaica. Since 8709 doesn't stop at anything east of Patchogue, and I mean anything, not even Babylon, it wouldn't stop at my station, so I figured I would take a later train. Now, before I'd hopped off the train, I had my map open and I was looking for a bit of a northern access point to the yard so I could at least see into the yard and get a few shots from there. And lo and behold, I found this little landscaping company that had a somewhat decent shot into the yard. Here we see the PTC set that I saw earlier, train 8736 waiting for its turn for 8743, and an extra passenger set. Not too soon after I got back to the station at Speonk, train 8743 rounded the curve out of the yard and was getting ready to pick up passengers here. Like I said, this is the same equipment from the direct train from Penn Station earlier, 8736. This time, instead of DM30AC 504 leading, it's DM30AC 509 leading. Now, as we approached the domestic Shirley station, we were thrown into the siding just east of there at JJD Interlocking, because we were waiting on a higher priority train. The new phase of the schedule, 8726, which was a direct train from Long Island City that made all local stops out to Montauk, including a couple mainline stops at Mineola and Hicksville. Now, during the normal weekend schedules, there wouldn't be any service from Hunters Point Avenue or Long Island City at all. But since there was the revised weekday schedule, 8731, which was a usual run out to Jamaica, was extended to Long Island City, and 8726 was the only train east out of there. There were a few M7 and M9 shuttles between Long Island City and Jamaica every so often, but we didn't really get to see those. As 8743 cleared the back end of the station, 8774 was already there waiting to depart. And that's all she wrote for my second and probably last round trip out to Montauk for a while. I did have a lot of fun this time around, especially because I got something to eat while I was there, since I was not there for only like 30 minutes. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed. I did enjoy making this video. I enjoyed the ride out to Montauk, and if you guys want to see more content like this, I'll definitely consider going other places in the future. Maybe even off of this island for once. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment down below. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this because this was a lot of fun. Also, I didn't take the time yet to say thank you guys so much for 300 subscribers. I completely forgot about saying this until just now. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.